Sometimes when you create a mock-up, you're not just working in Photoshop, you'll also be working with other software such as Adobe Illustrator. This can pose some unique challenges, and there are some advantages of doing this as well. Let's take this t-shirt design. I've got a good little mock-up of just the artwork of a t-shirt, and I want to be able to put my design that I did in Illustrator for the front and the back of these shirts. Now here's the artwork that I've done in Illustrator. It's completely vectorized, and this will be the front and back designs. If I was to choose just the artwork itself, in this case the number 1, we'll go up to Edit and we'll copy it. Let's jump back into Photoshop. If I go to Edit and Paste, this is going to ask me how do I want to bring in the artwork that I'm using. Now I could bring this in as its own smart object automatically. And if I do this, it'll create a separate Illustrator file that I can always go back and make changes to. So in this case, I'll say OK. It'll ask me to resize it to the size I want it to be, and we'll place it on the back here. Give it a second to think about that. And you can see, because it's a vector file, it's going to take a little bit of time to bring it in automatically. But now I've got it saved as its own vector artwork. From here, I can change the blending mode. And since this has some lighter areas, maybe overlay would be the best blending mode to blend in with this one. You don't always have to create a smart object. If you're in a pinch and you want it to go faster, let's do the front design. I'll copy this by going to Edit and Copy. This time, if I go to Edit and Paste, I'm going to choose just regular pixels, and this will bring it in as a pixelated object. Again, I can scale it down, and I can put it into perspective the way I want it to be by choosing my distortion. That looks good. Once it's done this way, I can now change it to be overlay, and it blends in as well for there. And you can see how this goes much quicker. So when you bring in work from Illustrator to Photoshop, it's going to ask you, how do you want to rasterize it? How do you want to turn it into something that Photoshop can deal with? Another example of working with this is if you wanted to place an actual Illustrator file within your design. In this case, I've got a logo. This will be our lion logo that I want to bring into the different parts of this little desk set. In order to do this, I can drag on this Illustrator file into our Photoshop file. It's going to ask me, what do I want to do to open this as a smart object? If I set OK to this, notice that it will place it as a regular object, and I can scale it down. And it's going to place it as a smart object. This is linking back to my original file now. So what I want to do is I'm going to take my logo and I'm going to place it and scale it down in a variety of different places. I'll even do a big one right here. There's one there. We'll put another one inside of here. We'll put one on the book cover. Let's do one on the mug. Oh, not going to let me do it for today. That's okay. And then we'll place this on the card as well. Right there. If you check out our layers, notice every time I made a copy of it, it automatically just called it Lion Logo Copy. If I was to make this as a true Photoshop mock-up, I would go through each of the layers and rename them what they are within my design. So in this case, it would be the envelope, mock-up. This would be just the logo by itself. This one would be the iPhone, the book, so on and so forth. The mug, and then finally the card. Since they're all the same artwork, if I was to open up the original design, this is going to take me into Adobe Illustrator, and we'll say OK to it. And if I wanted to make a change to this artwork, let's say I wanted to recolor it or change up the design or do anything that's necessary to it, all I've got to do is to make my change. Let's say I want to turn this logo bright red. I'm in Illustrator. If I make a save of this file, Whoops, I hit Save As. Let's just do a regular save. Once it's saved, I can close it out and jump back into Photoshop, and automatically all of the different smart objects have been updated from there. So this is really a great advantage of using smart objects within Photoshop because they link back to the original document that you have. Just make sure that you've got the same smart object for each of the different layers that you're working on.